It's the Devy Digest, powered by League Winners. I'm Andy, and we're previewing the ACC. We cover all this and more after the intro. What is going on, everyone? We are breaking down the ACC today, so let's get right into it. Part one. The ACC welcomes Cal, Stanford, and SMU. Nothing screams the Atlantic Coast Conference as adding Cal, Stanford, and SMU. So first team, Boston College Eagles. They were 7-6 this past season. They hired new head coach Bill O'Brien. Doug Marone was also named as senior analyst, and they have the 16th ranked recruiting class in the ACC. Now, their highest rated profile recruit is running back Turbo Richard. He is the 3-star in the composites. He's 5'9, 190 pounds. Now, Boston College went into the portal and they were able to grab some guys that can make an impact. They grabbed wide receiver John Bradley from Texas Tech. He's already made some news in their spring camp. Thomas Castellanos has been very impressed with him, and they expect to use him in the goal line with his height to kind of get those jump balls. They also grabbed Jaden McGowan from Vanderbilt, another wide receiver, and they grab a couple of running backs in the portal, running back Trayshawn Ward from Kansas State and Jordan McDonald from UCF. Now, they didn't really lose much in the portal, and they don't really have any Devy assets, but they do have a couple of fringe potential Devy assets. One of them is Jerron Bradley from Texas Tech. If he's able to stay healthy and he's able to get the red zone touches, he could be a factor, and he could utilize his strength with his length and become possibly, early day three, late day two kind of a guy. Another receiver that they have is Lewis Bond. He's 5'11", 188 pounds. He comes off a good season with 52 receptions. And in those 52 receptions, he had 646 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, he was used in the slot and out wide. He pretty much lined up everywhere. He was the main weapon for Thomas Castellanos. And now with a couple of receivers that add into the portal, it might free up Lewis Bond for this upcoming season for him to be more explosive for Boston College. Now, a CFF-only asset for now is quarterback Thomas Castellanos. He's 5'10", 196 pounds. Now, he threw for close to 2,300 yards, had 15 touchdowns, but he made most of his impact as a runner. He's a very good runner. He had over 1,100 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. Now, when you watch him play, you can't not help but to get excited with his rushing upside and what he does as a runner. The only issue with him is as a passer, he does need to make some improvements. And with Bill O'Brien there, it should be more of a pro-style offense. I kind of want to see how Thomas Castellanos develops as a passer. Now, from all indications, Bill O'Brien has nothing but positive words for Thomas Castellanos when he's spoken to the media. That's a good thing. There's been rumblings in the past about how Bill O'Brien essentially told Jalen Moreau that he should probably switch positions. So it was a little bit of a concern when he was hired on as Boston College's head coach, but so far the two seem to be working pretty well, and Boston College should be some interesting times there. That roster is kind of in transition. They have a couple of nice pieces, but they are going to be rebuilding, and Bill O'Brien will be on his first year there. The next team we are talking about is the Cal Golden Bears. They were 6-7 this past season. They have a new offensive coordinator. Mike Blowish was promoted to the offensive coordinator. He was the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach. So it'll be interesting to see how the offense is going to evolve. Are they going to be a little more run focused, a little more run centric, or will it be the same type of system that we've seen this past season? Now, they have the 13th ranked recruiting class in the ACC. They have a couple of nice recruits coming in. They have wide receiver Trevor Rogers. He's a three-star in the composites. He's 6'2", 180 pounds. Now, he tracks the ball pretty well. He's got good lateral quickness and good vision. He is a space creator and he will high point the ball. Now, he did run a full route tree. My only issue with him was the competition that he faced. Was he facing anything of note? He also isn't that fluid of an athlete. So I wonder if he will take about a year to finally get into the rotation. So he might be someone that in 2025 could make some impact for the Cal Golden Bears. A player that I'm actually really excited about is wide receiver Josiah Martin. He's also a three-star in the composites. He's 5'10", 160 pounds. Now his tape is fun. Now he is very good off the line. He tracks the ball well. He is a fluid athlete. He is a very savvy route runner. He is a quick, twitchy type of a runner. Loose hips. He's able to sink down into his routes, and he finds a way to get open. He shields defenders. What I like about him is towards the end of the route, he will find a way to kind of get that extra gear and create some separation as well. Now, he does project to be a slot receiver, and as we talk about a little bit later on with Cal, they did bring in a couple of receivers and they did bring in a slot guy. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe this upcoming season, his main impact will be on special teams. Now, they also bring in running back Jamal Wiley. He's a three-star in the composites. He's 6 feet, 190 pounds. Now, he's also a pretty good athlete, and he has an explosive burst. He does have good vision, good contact balance. He is a capable receiver. He will catch the ball outside of his frame, and I do like that. He gets up to full speed within strides, and he does have some juice to him. Now, in the portal, Cal did gain a couple of receivers like we talked about. They got wide receiver Mikey Matthews from Utah. He went into the portal, and he was looking around at TCU, Baylor, and a couple of other places. Ends up at Cal. He does project to be their main slot guy. Another receiver they bring in is wide receiver Tobias Merriweather from Notre Dame. In 2 seasons at Notre Dame, he wasn't able to impress, and now he goes out west to try to see if he can gain some traction in this wide receiving room. They also bring in a running back, Kadarius Callaway from Old Dominion, and quarterback Chandler Rogers from North Texas. Now, they do lose a few players as well. They lose quarterback Ben Finley to Akron. They lose quarterback Sam Jackson, who is going to Auburn as a wide receiver. And they lose wide receiver Jeremiah Hunter to Washington. He was their go-to playmaker through the air last year. Now, from a Devy aspect point of view, the Cal Golden Bears, they have running back Jaden Ott. And I've really grown to like Jaden Ott. And I do believe he is a true Devy asset. This past season, he carried the ball 245 times for 1,305 yards with 12 touchdowns. He also brought in 26 receptions. What I like about him is he is 6 foot, 200 pounds. He has good lateral agility, good burst. He is a plus receiver out of the backfield. I want to see if Cal uses him more out of the backfield. And with them promoting the run game coordinator to the offensive coordinator, I kind of want to see if they use more of Jalen Ott and screens and kind of some wheel routes down the field. Now, he does bring a good size and speed combination, and he has been a workhorse role. Now, last season, Cal brought in a couple of transfer backs, and there were some indications that we might be concerned that they might try to limit Jaden Ott, but due to some injuries, Jaden Ott was the main running back. Now, they do bring in a portal running back this year as well in Kadarius Callaway, but I'm not too concerned. Jaden Ott is going to be the guy, and he should be the focal point of the offense. Now, the one thing that he does need to improve on is to have more of a consistent vision. That goes away at times. There are times when I'm watching him and he lacks that vision that I really want to see from him. But then there are times where he sees things before it happens. So I just want to see some more consistency with that vision. Another year under his belt, I believe he can improve that overall. Now, a fringe Devy potential could be wide receiver Tron Grizel. He is 6'4", 200 pounds. He does have a similar mold to Tobias Merriweather, so it'll be interesting to see how Cal uses this wide receiving room. We assume Mikey Matthews will be the slot guy. So are they going to use both Tron Grizel and Tobias Merriweather, both lankier, taller, quote unquote prototypical X receivers out wide, or are they going to mix and match? Now, this past season, Grizel had 39 catches for 590 yards and 5 touchdowns with a 14-yard A dot. He is the leading returning target earner. He was in the slot 78% of the time last year, so that does muddy up some things with what Cal potentially might want to do. Mikey Matthews, he operates exclusively out of the slot. He is someone that I believe will be the slot guy. I don't think you bring in Mikey Matthews from the portal and you ask him to move out wide. I think he's going to be the slot guy. I do believe Grizel and Tobias Merriweather will probably fight out the X spot, and then you'll have the other boundary position be up for grabs in camp. Another French Devy potential guy that they have is tight end Jack Andrews, and he is someone that's pretty enticing. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. As a true freshman, had 35 receptions for 408 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has good size, and he does operate detached from the in line. So he operates in line 20.9% of the time, and in the slot position 52.4% of the time. He is a versatile chess piece. The only thing is I want to see is how Cal's going to use all these pieces. All these pieces tend to work the same kind of role. They all operate out of the slot, and it'll also be interesting to see who wins that quarterback competition. Fernando Mendoza, he was the starter last year. He's got some moxie to him. He finds a way to just make plays, and he make plays happen. So there are some spring reports that he is going to be the lead guy, but that is to be expected because you're not going to give the guy who's transferring in from the portal the first team reps right away. So it'll be between him and Chandler Rogers to see who operates as the signal caller for Cal. Now, the next team that we are going to talk about today is the Clemson Tigers. They are 9-4 this past season. They have the third-ranked recruiting class in the ACC, and they do have some high-profile recruits. They have wide receiver TJ Moore. He's a 5-star in the composites, and he is someone that rose in the rankings late. He is a vertical route runner. He wasn't asked to run a very expansive route tree, but what they did ask of him, he ran pretty well. At this stage in his game, he is one of those receivers where you throw it up there and you let him fly underneath and go and get it. He tracks the ball very well, and he made a great showing during the All-Star camp back in November and December, and he got that fifth star. They also bring in another wide receiver, Bryant Wesco. He's a four-star in the composites. He's 6'2", 170 pounds, and he's a nice receiver. He's a very slippery receiver, good contact balance. He does have some nice speed to him, and I do like his route running style. Now, he is more on the finesse side than being a physical receiver, but he will go and win those 50-50 contested balls. I do like that he does create separation towards the end when he goes and get his catches. And they also bring in a running back, David Eziomume. He is a four-star in composites. He is 6 feet, 190 pounds. He has good hands, good play strength. He lined up everywhere, including running wide receiver routes out wide. Now, he has good enough speed and he is a decisive route runner. There's been a lot of buzz about him, and there's a slight possibility that him and Phil Maffa could be the 1-2 punch for Clemson this upcoming season. But David Eziomume, he will be the future with Clemson. Now, in the portal, we all know Clemson doesn't go into the portal, so they didn't get anyone. But they do lose a couple of players, or they lose one player of note, and that's why receiver Bo Collins. They end up losing a couple of depth pieces here and there, but they didn't really lose much. Devy assets, I would say wide receiver Antonio Williams is their main Devy asset. He missed a portion of last year due to injury, but he is someone that is a very exciting player. Now, this past season, like I said, he missed some games, so he only had 21 receptions for 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. But as a true freshman, he had 56 receptions for 604 yards and 4 touchdowns. He is 5'11", 195 pounds. Now, the question, or I guess the concern, isn't the talent, it's the offense. Offensive coordinator Garrett Riley was handcuffed last year. He didn't get to run his system. It was more of the same as we've always seen at Clemson. And another concern is quarterback Cade Klubnik. Is he going to be able to support anybody on this offense? He's had a couple of bad years, and Garrett Riley, I hope Dabo Sweeney lets Garrett Riley call the plays this year and is able to implement his system. The main issue with Clemson, it is that system. I mean, they have receivers that are good, but they don't have the system in place to promote those receivers. They don't have a quarterback in place to promote those receivers. So where do you turn? You turn to the run game, and that's Phil Maffa. Phil Maffa is 6'1", 230 pounds. He is a bowling ball. This past season, had 179 rushes for 965 yards and 13 touchdowns. He is someone that, to me, he's always been better than Will Shipley. He's always been the guy, but they have tend to use both guys, Will Shipley and Phil Maffa. And with Will Shipley being gone, this should be Phil Maffa's running back room. I do see him getting the upper hand, probably with the splits between Phil Maffa and whoever the second running back is going to be. I really believe between those two backs and those two carries, it'll be a 60-40 split between the two. I think Phil Maffa will get the attention that he deserves this year, and he is someone that could be kind of a Devy asset, a fringe guy. David Eziomume, he will be one of those for 2025. Once Phil Maffa is gone, he should get the majority of the workload. Now, they also have wide receivers Tyler Brown, TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, Adam Randall, tight end Jake Brenningstool. They're all guys that have tools, and they all are guys that we like. We just don't like that they're at Clemson. That's just the only thing. So if Garrett Riley is able to call some plays, his style plays, and if Kate Coughlin can be an adequate power four quarterback, we might see some things from these receivers this year. Now, the next team that we are going to talk about are the Duke Blue Devils. They were 8-5 this past season, and they have a new head coach. They have Manny Diaz taking over, and Duke has the 14th ranked recruiting class in the ACC. Their highest profile recruit is wide receiver Chase Tyler. He's a three-star in the composites. He is 6'4", 155 pounds. Yes, he's 6'4" at 155 pounds. So he will need probably a year, if not more, to add on some weight, get into the strength and conditioning program, and finally be able to play in a Power Four conference. In the portal, they were able to get quarterback Malik Murphy from Texas, and they do lose a trio of players, or a couple of players actually. They lose running back Jordan Waters to NC State, quarterback Riley Leonard to Notre Dame. Now, as a Devy asset, I've always been higher on wide receiver Jordan Moore than probably anybody. He is a converted quarterback. He was battling it out with Riley Leonard, and when Riley Leonard won the job, Jordan Moore converted to wide receiver. And he's had back-to-back, I believe it's 60 catch seasons. This past season, he has 62 receptions for 835 yards and 8 touchdowns. He is 6 feet, 195 pounds, and he understands with that quarterback background of where he needs to be for his quarterback when he's running routes. So with that mentality and with that knowledge, he's able to be where he would want himself to be if he was the quarterback. So he is a real quarterback friendly target. And he is someone that I really like as a Devy asset. I think he's got the potential to be possibly a late day two, early day three type of a guy. And there are a lot of vacated targets with Duke, and he can absorb a lot of them. So I'm hoping him and Malik Murphy form some kind of connection, and Jordan Moore is able to have a really good senior season. Now, as a fringe Devy potential, it is running back Jarquez Moore. He is 5'10", 204 pounds. He initially entered the portal and he withdrew his name to come back and be the main guy at Duke. In a split backfield last year, he had 116 carries for 674 yards and 6 touchdowns. And he should be able to get the lead role for Duke this year, and he should be able to make the most of it. The next fringe Devy potential is quarterback Malik Murphy. He gets a chance to shine. My question is, how will that offense be? And how will Malik Murphy be as a quarterback? Last year at Texas, with all the weapons they had, he looked shaky when they had to turn to him when Quinn Ewers was forced to miss time. So I want to see Malik Murphy be a better overall quarterback. And then they don't have any CFF assets. The next team that we are going to talk about are the Florida State Seminoles. They were 13-1 this past season. They have the second-ranked recruiting class in the ACC, and they do bring in some high-profile recruits. Quarterback Luke Kromenhoek, he is a 4-star in the composites. He is 6'4", 190 pounds. He will scramble around the pocket instead of being a true scrambler, he is one of those pocket navigators. Now, he will run if needed, but he is someone that looks to scramble around, buy some additional time, and then get the ball out of his hands and into his playmakers. Now, he does have a strong arm, but he does need some more seasoning and some more experience. He's only been a quarterback for a couple of years. and he has a pretty good arm. He is able to layer throws. He is good with off-platform type of plays, but he is a very raw prospect. And Florida State, they've brought in some transfer portal guys in the past. So we'll have to see if he is going to be the guy next year or if he's not ready and they bring in another transfer guy to compete at the quarterback position. Now, at the running back position, they were able to bring in Cam Davis. He is a four-star in the composites. He is 5'9", 210 pounds, and he is a Wildcat quarterback. And we know Florida State loves those Wildcat quarterbacks. Now, as a runner, he is a physical runner. He is twitchy. He does have good contact balance, and I do like that he does have a low center of gravity. He is a chiseled, framed individual. He is someone that you are going to need a couple of guys to bring down. My only thing with these Wildcat quarterbacks that convert into a running back is it's one thing to see the defense from that shotgun snap position and you're able to see everything. It's totally another thing when you have a quarterback in front of you that he's dropping back, handing you off the ball, and you have to read which holes to go to, where the defenses are, where they're crashing from, which gap you need to look at, where's the second gap. It does bring some potential issues, but Florida State has done this before with some success. Cam Akers is one that comes to mind that they were able to convert, and he did pretty well. So with him going to Florida State, I'm okay with the move, but that is something to take note of. And he also is a talented baseball player. So, if he gets drafted to the Major League Baseball draft, that might be something to consider. But he does have talent as a baseball player. They also bring in wide receiver Lewayne McClure. He's a four-star in the composites. He is 6 feet, 170 pounds. He has juice. He plays with multiple gears. He is a fluid route runner. He is tough. He's slippery. He's someone that's going to bounce off defenders. He played both ways in high school, and he is someone that I really like. But with Florida State, we know every year they bring in portal guys, and they like to bring in some vets and kind of mix in their homegrown recruits slowly. So we'll have to see if Lewin McCoy gets any action this upcoming season. And as we said, with the portal, they brought in a slew of guys. They brought in a running back, Rodell Williams from Alabama, wide receiver Malik Benson from Alabama, running back Jalen Lucas from Indiana, wide receiver Jalen Brown from LSU, and quarterback DJU from Oregon State. And they also lost a slew of players to the portal. They lose running back Rodney Hill to Miami, wide receiver Goldie Lawrence to UCF, wide receiver Winston Wright to East Carolina, quarterback Tate Rodemaker to Southern Miss, and quarterback AJ Duffy to San Diego State. For me, they don't have any Devy assets, but they do have some fringe Devy potential guys, and those are going to be wide receiver Malik Benson. Now, this past season, he wasn't able to make an impact with Alabama, only 13 receptions for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, he is 6'1", 195 pounds, and he came in as the hot JUCO name, and he was advertised to be this burner, this guy that was going to be elusive, a good playmaker. My concern last year with him was always this. Last year with Alabama, we knew the boundary receivers, who they were. So it was going to come down to the slot position, and if Malik Benson was going to beat out Isaiah Bond or not. So if he wasn't able to beat out Isaiah Bond, he was going to be a death piece. And that's exactly what happened. He was a death piece. Now, he does have good size and speed combination. His JUCO tape is very nice, but he needs to prove that he belongs in the Power Four. He goes to Florida State, where there's a lot of receivers there, but no one that stands out. So he has every chance to be the wide receiver one if he's good enough. Other fringe Devy kind of guys are wide receiver Jalen Brown. He didn't do anything at LSU this past year as a true freshman. He was a highly touted recruit. He was a four-star in the composites. He was not able to make an impact. He decided to leave the LSU room, which has a lot of vacated targets, and they had two other freshmen that was also there. So was that an indication that he knew the pecking order at LSU and he kind of packed his bags to go to somewhere better? I don't know, but if you kind of read between the tea leaves, that's what I'm kind of gathering. Florida State also has two of their own recruits that were true freshmen this past season. Hakeem Williams, he was, I believe, a five-star in the composites. He's a very raw wide receiver, and they brought in also Vandrevius Jacobs. Now, between the three, they're all unproven. They all failed to have 10 receptions between the three of them. There's a lot of talent, but there comes a time where you need to turn that talent into production. So we'll have to see what happens with those three. And then you have Roydell Williams. I just want to mention because he is someone that Alabama liked. They didn't like him enough to use him more, but he's coming off 500 rushing yards, has 11 receptions. He was used as that receiving back. He at times last year supplanted Jam Miller for that receiving back role, and so he kind of took that over last year, and he comes into Florida State with a loaded running back room. So we'll just have to see how this sort itself out. They don't really have any CFF assets, and the next team that we are going to be talking about are the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're coming off a 7-6 season. They have the seventh ranked recruiting class in the ACC, and the highest rated profile recruit is wide receiver Isaiah Canyon. He is a four-star in the composites. He is 6'3", 190 pounds. He is athletic. He plays instinctually. He is raw, but he does high point the ball. He does have a quick acceleration and burst to him that I like. He does have a big catch radius. He has good body control, and he is someone that saved his quarterback in high school. He would come back, make all these plays, and kind of bail out his quarterback. He is going to miss the entire spring. He had an injury. I believe it was a meniscus, I want to say. But he will miss spring camp, but by all indication, he should be back by fall camp. They also bring in a running back, Anthony Carey. He is a four-star in the composites. He is 5'11", 195 pounds. He does have good lateral agility with some speed. He will make a defender miss and get to the second level. So I do like that about him, and he does bring the ability to get those tough yards. Now, in the portal, they didn't really gain or lose anybody. And they do have a Devy asset. For me, wide receiver Eric Singleton is that Devy asset. He is coming off a really good season with 48 receptions, 714 yards, and 6 touchdowns as a true freshman. He is 5'11", 170 pounds, and he's a very electric wide receiver. He wins on all three levels, and he is a threat to take it to the house every time. He is a fun player who just simply isn't talked about enough, and he is a true Devy asset, and we should see a breakout explosion in his second season. I don't think they have any fringe Devy potential, guys, but they do have some CFF assets, and that is going to be quarterback Haynes King. He is coming off a very good season where he threw for 2,842 yards, threw for 27 touchdowns, ran it for 737 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. He is 6'3", 204 pounds, and he is a dual threat quarterback. With his time at Texas A&M, it wasn't very good. So when he came into Georgia Tech, it was a bit of a question mark of how he was going to do, but he was extremely exciting and effective in his Georgia Tech system. And someone else that I want to mention is running back Jamal Haynes. He had over 1,000 rushing yards last year with 7 rushing touchdowns and 20 receptions. He is 5'9", 180 pounds, so he is someone that is more on the smaller side, but he gets a good workload. He was efficient last year. They had him run the ball 174 times last year. Now, the next team that we are talking about is the Louisville Cardinals. They were 10-4 last year. They have the 12th ranked recruiting class in the ACC. The highest rated recruit that they have is running back Duke Watson. He is a 4-star in the composites. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. He has good hands. He will make defenders miss, and he does have speed to run on by that second level. He has a good lateral agility, and I do like that he is a fluid athlete. He is someone that will fight for extra yards, and he does have some decent vision to him. They also bring in another running back, Isaac Brown. He's a 3-star in the composites. He's 5'7", 175 pounds, so he's definitely more on the smaller scat back type. The issue with these running backs that they bring in is Louisville tends to bring in some portal guys every year. They bring in portal guys for every position every year. So those are some issues with Louisville when you take a look at their recruiting profiles. Now, in the portal this year, they gained a ton of guys. Tight end Jaleel Skinner from Miami, running back Don Chaney Jr. also from Miami, running back Penny Boone from Toledo, wide receiver Cullen Lacey from South Alabama, wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks from Alabama, tight end Mark Redmond from San Diego State, and quarterback Tyler Shuck from Texas Tech. They also do lose a couple of players. They lose wide receiver Kevin Coleman to Mississippi State, wide receiver Amari Huggins Bruce to South Carolina. Technically, they lost tight end Tanner Koziel. He was at Ball State. He committed to Louisville, only to withdraw and return to Ball State. They also lose a couple of depth pieces here and there as well. Louisville, for me, they don't be wide receiver Cullen Lacey. He is coming off a very good season at South Alabama, where he had 91 receptions, 1,316 yards receiving, and 7 touchdowns. He is 5'10", 190 pounds, and we know in Jeff Brom's system, the targets are funneled through the slot, and so that's who we target every year. And Cullen Lacey will operate out of the slot position. He is someone that has improved with each passing year at South Alabama, and he pretty much punched in his ticket, and he is going to test the waters and see if he is going to be able to compete against the Power Four and get some NFL buzz. Now, a CFF asset that they possibly have is going to be quarterback Tyler Shuck. And if he can stay healthy, we know the system. This is a fun system, and this is a system that is very quarterback friendly. So if he can stay healthy, that could be a nice quarterback CFF asset. Now, the next team that we are talking about is Miami Hurricanes. They were 7-6 this past season. They have the best recruiting class in the ACC. Now, some of the high-profile recruits they bring in are wide receiver JoJo Trader. He was a high 4-star in the composites. He is 6 foot, 175 pounds. He is a very good route runner, a very fluid athlete. He is smooth in and out of his breaks, and he tracks the ball very well. He has multiple gears of acceleration. He has a good combination of being a technician and a pure athlete. He has already enrolled, and he is participating in spring practices right now with Cam Ward. Another high-profile recruit they bring in is wide receiver Nye Carr. He's also four-star in the composites. He is 5'11", 170 pounds. He plays inside and out, and he is a burner. He creates separation, has very good footwork. He doesn't lose momentum in and out of his breaks, and I really do like that about him. He has very loose hips that he's able to sink down into his routes, and he does possess that good twitchy slot receiver mobility ability that we like. He is someone that will create after the catch and is very good in short area touches. He finds the open spot and he works back to his quarterback and finds that soft spot for him. He is a very instinctual playmaker, and I do like that about Nye Carr. Now they also bring in a four-star tight end, Elijah Lofton. He is 6'2", 235 pounds. They also bring in running back Jordan Lyle. He is a four-star in the composites. He is 6 foot, 190 pounds. With Lyle, he has a good frame, good lateral agility, and I do like his vision running the ball. He has very good contact balance, and he is a hard-nosed runner. He does have some good speed to him, and he is shifty, so I do like that. And then Miami brings in a third wide receiver, four-star in the composites, Chance Robinson. He is 6 foot, 205 pounds. He is one of those guys that they operate vertically and then line of scrimmage sprinkled in short area screens and stuff like that. So he doesn't really have a full route tree. He's one of those manufactured touch guys to let him create with yak, or you just throw it up there and let him run and get it. Now, in the portal, they were able to get quite a few guys. They got Cam Ward from Washington State. They got a couple of depth pieces that'll help them out. They lose in the portal tight end Jaleel Skinner to Louisville, wide receiver Colby Young to Georgia, Don Chaney to Louisville, and quarterback Tyler Van Dyke went to Wisconsin. With the Devy assets they have, I'm going to say JoJo Trader, wide receiver JoJo Trader, wide receiver Nye Carr, and running back Jordan Lyle, the three freshmen. I do think they are Devy assets. This year, as a true freshman, I think the only one that's going to make a major impact is going to be JoJo Trader. I do think running back Jordan Lyle does see the field. I think he will get more playing time than what people are kind of wanting to put on him, but I think he will see the playing field. A fringe Devy potential is wide receiver Xavier Restrepo. He should be the leading target earner on this team. He's coming off an 85 catch season for 1,092 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is 5'10", 198 pounds, and that prototypical slot receiver. He can develop into that slot NFL wide receiver that goes into that day 2 draft capital. So he might be one of those guys this time next year for the NFL. A fringe Devy guy, I'll say, is quarterback Cam Ward. I haven't been his biggest fan, but there are people out there who do like him. Now, he does need a lot of refinement. He's going to need to improve his game. He needs to read defenses better and trust what he sees. There are times where he will hold on to the ball for too long, and that causes either interceptions, fumbles, or sacks, or just negative plays in general. So I want to see him clean that up. I want to see him kind of make that next step. And I do like that he decided to go back to school instead of staying in the NFL. Because if he would have stayed in the NFL, he probably would have been a 6th-round pick. The last team that we are talking about today, that is going to be the North Carolina Tar Heels. They were 8-5 this past season. They have the 4th-ranked recruiting class in the ACC. The highest rated profile recruit that they bring in is is wide receiver Jordan Shipp. He is a 4-star in the composites. He is 6'2", 183 pounds, and he is someone that will high point the ball. He has good in-breaking routes that I do like about him. He has good vision, good lateral agility, and he did line up out wide and in the slot. He was also a returner, so he does bring a lot of outs to him as a true freshman. He can work as a returner. He can be a slot guy. He can work out wide. Every year in North Carolina, they bring in at least 2 or 3 freshman recruits. So North Carolina, they have a full receiving room of young guys, but none of them that have really broken out. So it'll be interesting to see if Jordan Shipp can make the rotation. North Carolina also brought in wide receiver Alex Taylor, a 3-star in the composites. He is 6'3", 175 pounds. They also bring in Javarius Green, another 3-star. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. They also bring in a running back, Devy Gauss. He is a 3-star in the composites. He is 5'10", 205 pounds. I do like his lateral movement. He is a capable receiver out of the backfield. He is someone that has good contact balance, and I want to see if he can work in to be that 3rd running back this year. And then once Omarion Hampton goes to the NFL, if he can potentially be their next running back. Now in the portal, they grabbed tight end Jake Johnson from Texas A&M, and then they also got his brother, quarterback Max Johnson, also from Texas A&M. They lose running back George Pettaway to James Madison, and they lose wide receiver Andre Green Jr., who's going to Virginia. For Devy assets, they have running back Omarion Hampton. He's coming off a 1,500-yard rushing season with 15 touchdowns, 29 receptions. He is 6 foot, 220 pounds, and he should be the focal point in this offense. What I want to see is, can he be the guy without Drake May and Tez Walker being there? This past season, defenses, they couldn't really load the box because Drake May and Tez Walker were there. So they were playing light boxes, and Omarion Hampton was the beneficiary of that. To me, I question his long speed. I question his overall speed, period. I see that short burst. To me, he is one of those running backs that will have a good short area burst, and he kind of cruises to the next level. He doesn't have that next gear that gets him going and gets him home. He just cruises once he gets to that top gear, and he is someone that I don't think has top end long speed. So I question his overall trait for the NFL. Is he going to be just another Audric Estime type of a guy at the next level? Another Devy asset they have is tight end Bryson Nesbitt. He's coming off a 41 reception season. He's a very athletic tight end. I believe news came out that he's going to miss spring practices, I believe. And then also wide receiver J.J. Jones, I believe, is also going to miss the entire spring. So the wide receiver room, they're very unproven, very untested. We'll have to see who develops from there, and we'll have to see who the quarterback is. Is it going to be Connor Harrell? Is it going to be Max Johnson? And if Max Johnson, why is that? So we have reached the end of part 1. We'll be back next time for part 2. But with this, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you are watching on YouTube, give us a like, comment, subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a rate and review. And until next time, we'll see you on the Devy Digest.